Hi everyone, it is Mickey here from A Pretty Talent and the Waterwell Ministries, and I am back with another installment on, or the second installment on lesson 2 of the art journaling course that we are doing. Now, lesson 1 is in a blog, and I will link that blog down in the video, in the comments, but I am going to show you that we've already prepared our book in lesson 1. So this is, okay, well, let's start it at the front because it's not that many pages. This is the book that we are working in. And obviously everyone in the course has their own version of this book, but yes, lesson 1 was all about charcoals, and we have our charcoal drawings in here, and the journaling and everything that we prepared for lesson 1. This one is the wrong way around. Let me just turn it around. Right, so that was lesson 1. Now, lesson 2, we have started out by preparing our notes and our books. So we've torn out the pages that needed to be torn out. We've glued everything together that needed to be glued together. We have prepared all of the notes that needed to be prepared. And all of that is in detail in the blog. I'm not going to repeat that. So we are now turning the page, and we are getting to the first of our art pages. Now this page is being kept apart or aside for doing art on with oil pastels, and you will see that I also have small little offcuts here that we are going to be practicing on before we actually come to the paper that we're going to create the art with, just to get a feel of the oil pastels, or for the oil pastels, before we actually use them. A little piece of scrap paper similar to the paper that we are going to be working on. Now, on this page, on this particular page, we are going to be working with a passage in the Bible, and this passage is, I've got my handwritten notes here. That is going to be Matthew 6 verse 26. Now, I am now going to prepare the notes or the passage for these pages. So I have here a transparent sticky note paper, and I'm going to write the passage out on this transparent sticky note paper. So I'm going to start, oh, and this is a cute pen that I've a friend has gifted me, but I know you can find these on Temu as well, and it's a whole series of bones actually. So I'm going to start by writing out the scriptural reference, Matthew 6 verse 26. Now this is our inspiration for the artwork that we are going to create. And I have here my, well, one of my journaling Bibles, and I am looking up the passage for Matthew 6. That's Mark, so I'll be back. And I am Matthew 6 verse 26. And it reads, "Look at the birds of the air. And then there's a comma. For they do not sow, comma, for they do not sow, nor do they reap, nor gather into barns. And then there's a full stop. Yet your heavenly Father feeds them. I love this passage. And that's a statement. Your heavenly Father feeds them. And then the question, are you not much better than they? with a question mark. Now, this passage speaks of the care that God takes with us. And it's a phenomenal passage. And once you really read the whole passage, we are using only the one verse. I am going to quickly browse back into my notes, and I want to show you that we are dealing with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And for a very long time in my life, I had thought that this passage refers to the basic needs only. And actually, the bottom tier of the basic needs, because it speaks of feeding. But we are so much more than birds. And if I look back at my life and my experiences with our Heavenly Father, then I realize that this top tier, the self-fulfillment needs, God also takes care of those. Except I think our language changes. It's God fulfillment. It's not self-fulfillment. These are things that I would hope to attain for myself, but they happen when I fix my eyes on God, and then this falls into place. So I can't take full credit for having done that myself. I got to give the credit where it belongs, and it belongs with our Father. Now, what do I do with this passage from this point on? I have these alcohol markers, and I am simply going to use the fine point on these because they've got a chisel point, and they've got a finer point, bullet point on this side. And I am going to make a couple of dots like that. Actually, I think I'm also going to do a bit of a squiggly line down here. I am not overthinking that squiggly line. I'm just putting it down there. And then I am going to come in with another color. Now, bearing in mind the background color here, because I'm going to stick this onto that paper once the drawing is done. So what color am I going to come in here? I think I need to stick with, maybe I should go with a bit of a brighter, okay, what about a purple? Purple should look very nicely against that one. I'm second guessing myself here. And I am just going to make the simplest little doodly flowers, coloring them the way we learned to color in primary school, in pre-primary school even. Really not meant to take time or effort, just to add a little bit of a decorative edge. I don't like only two. I need a third flower. There's not a lot of space here, is there? Okay, well, let's put one there. Two is never a good idea. Now, since these are alcohol markers, I need to be very careful about not going into my writing, because alcohol will dissolve ink. Yeah, and I don't want to dissolve my writing now. Okay, and that's good enough. So I've got 3 here, 1 there, and even though together they are now an even number, the way they are spaced, they're not even. And this is my passage, which I'm simply going to stick on my paper, and it'll look cute because it's transparent. You'll still be able to see my painting or my drawing underneath, and that takes care of that passage. Now, let me show you what I'm going to do with the next one. Let me put this aside, and I'm going to just page my book. We need to still deal with this. I actually think I'm going to pull this off, and I'm just going to stick it there temporarily. Okay. We're going to come back and deal with this page a little later on. This is a pocket. But this we're still going to do something with in terms of journaling. Now this black page, this is the one that we are going to do chalk pastels on. And that's what we have this one for. And that's the next passage that I want to show you how I'm going to deal with that. Right, so the passage for the chalk pastels is Luke 10, and it's actually 2 verses, Luke 10 verse 29 and verse 37. So again, I'm starting out by simply writing down the reference, Luke 10 verse 29, and this verse is the lawyer that came to test Jesus, and he said to Jesus, okay, so the lawyer, desiring to justify himself, said to Jesus, and who is my neighbor? So that's a question. But he, desiring to justify himself, said to Jesus, and now I've got to have quotation marks, and who is my neighbor? Now there's an American spelling here. I'm going to stick to that because I am trying to quote directly. Now I'm going to just say verse 37. Jesus then goes on in this passage to tell the story of the Good Samaritan, and it's a phenomenal story. And if you're not familiar with it, do yourself a favor and go read the passage. It's not a long passage. It's Luke 10 verses, make it from about 25 to 37. And in this passage, pretty much Jesus is telling him the Samaritan, the most unlikely, the person who's supposed to be socially not at the same level, and politically removed, let's try to be politically correct, politically removed from the Israelite man. He's the one who lends a helping hand. The priest doesn't, the man from the church, the Christian in today's terminology. It doesn't come from a likely source, it comes from an unlikely source, the Levite. Now, the Levite was someone who was born into the service of God. That's the tribe's reason for existence. He doesn't do anything. And then comes this political enemy, if you like, and he lends a helping hand. And then Jesus asks him in verse 36, he asks the lawyer, now which of these three do you think was a neighbor to him who fell among the thieves? And then here's what the lawyer said, and I'm going to write this. He said, this is now the lawyer speaking, he said, the one who showed mercy on him. The one who showed mercy on him. Yeah. And then, still in the same verse, then Jesus said to him, him being the lawyer, go and do likewise. Go and do likewise. Yeah. Okay, so what is phenomenal to me about this passage is that the lawyer comes to Jesus with a question. Who is my neighbor? Who is my neighbor? And Jesus tells him a story. And he asks the lawyer a question in return. He hasn't answered the question. He tells him a story. And then he ends by asking him, which of these do you think was a neighbor to him who fell among the thieves? And Jesus can give him an answer. It's not that Jesus doesn't know, but what Jesus knows is that the knowledge is locked up inside this lawyer. He already knows the answer. He might need some guidance to unlocking the answer, but he has that knowledge in himself. And then Jesus' instruction is pretty much, and I'm putting this in my own words now, you know the actual words. Jesus pretty much telling him, if you know this, go and do this. Be this. You be the neighbor. But I love that fact, that insight that that Jesus knew. Jesus knew, he knew. Jesus knows that you and I know, that we have the answers somewhere in our being. We know what is right and wrong, and we need to unlock that truth. But I love that the fact that Jesus knows us so well, so extremely well. I am now looking for colors that's going to show up against the black, and I'm not quite sure I have that. I am going to try my best to do something bright and beautiful here, but whether or not it will show up against the black is anybody's guess. I wonder if I could maybe put the black in the background here, and then try to create. Shall I just stick with the same little flowers? Shall I just do that? Shall I do something else? How about I do a little line like that, and maybe just one friendly. Now, I'm not going to say this really stands out against the black, but whatever. It's good enough, I think. By the way, I don't know if you noticed, but you can see here on the side of the marker whether you're dealing with the bullet point or the chisel point. That's why I'm not opening both sides to come on the right side. Now, honestly, when I take that away, it's extremely dim. Very hard to see, but it actually shows off better against the black than without it. I don't like how squashed I made this petal on this side. Let me just, yeah, that's a little better. Okay, being unnecessarily critical here. So stop that. Let's stick that one right there where it belongs. And pull the book over. And I'm going to show you. Oh, let me just take that one out. If I then turn the page, I have again a picture that I need to deal with and two pockets that we have created here at the top. I'm going to keep on turning because I'm not dealing with those just now. I am going to the third paper that we're keeping aside to create art on. And this is the one that we are going to create the word is tinted charcoal is the word I'm looking for. Good grief, it just left my mind altogether. Okay, so we're going to do the tinted charcoal drawings on this paper. And you'll see every time I have these little off-cut pieces that I'm keeping aside to do the practice runs on. Now there's another picture that we need to deal with. We've got our journaling picture still. So there's a bit of work left to do in this journal. But I'm going to put that aside for the moment. And I am going to go to our third passage in the Bible. And our third passage in the Bible is Luke 10 still, verses 40 to 42. So here it reads. Now Jesus then went, after speaking with the lawyer, he went to the village where Martha and Mary were staying. And he was welcomed there into their house. Now Mary sat down at Jesus' feet and just, I should actually just read this. As when he entered a village, and a woman named Martha welcomed him into her house. She had a sister called Mary who also sat at Jesus' feet and listened to his teaching. But Martha was distracted with much serving, and she came to him and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Then tell her to help me. And Jesus answered her, Martha, Martha. So I want to do it in my voice, my interpretation. I would probably go, Martha, Martha. I think Jesus was not quite as, yeah, he was not a me. Okay, Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things, but one thing is needed. And Mary has chosen the good part, which shall not be taken from her. Now, the verses that we are dealing with, let's start with those. We are dealing with, I pulled the whole point of the pen out. Didn't even know you could do that. That's odd. Let me find a tweezer. How curious is that? Who would have thought it's even possible to do that? I might have to push it back. Oh, it's pretty stuck in there, I'll tell you that much. Now, if this is going to take too long, I'm going to go for another pen. Oh, there it goes. Ooh, now there's something to look out for. And of course now I am covered. Let me just wipe my hands on this piece of paper and the pen, which is now leaking. That was a curious incident. Okay, well, you saw it here first. I'm just assuming you've never seen that. Okay. The odd thing about things like that is if you try to do it, you can't. And then it happens, you know, just when you don't want it. And yes, of course, when you're shooting a video, when you least want it. Okay, but in any case, we are doing Luke 10, verse 40. I'm going to do just 40 there. And I'm going to write it out. But Martha was distracted. But Martha was distracted. I'm losing my place here. With much serving. Now, how many of us have been distracted with much serving, with doing too much, just working? And she came to him and said, I reread the same line. I was like, couldn't possibly say that twice. Okay, so but Martha was distracted with much serving, and she came to him and said, and she came to him and said, Lord, do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Lord, I actually like the capital letters, so I'm going to turn that into capital letter. Do you not care that my sister has left me to serve alone? Now, then tell her to help me. Now, I am thinking, but I shouldn't talk while I'm writing because then I'm going to write nonsense. And I don't want to write nonsense. We often, and in ministry, in our jobs, doesn't matter where it is, in our homes, we often fall into this trap where we believe we have something to prove. Whether that is to ourselves or to others or even to God, it actually doesn't even matter. We have something that we need to prove. We need to serve. We need to serve to feel needed. We need to serve to feel as if we are worth having around, if you like, as if we are worthy. And then we get overly tired. We're exhausted. We're just flattened because we took this upon ourselves. This was not a God-ordained mission. This is something we took upon ourselves. We hate hearing that. And I know right now someone is objecting. No, it's not me. I didn't take this upon. This was given to me to do. Did you attempt to say no? Did you explain or attempt to explain why you couldn't possibly do this and that it would suffer if you had to take this upon yourself as well? Or did you think that maybe you could climb the ladder, whichever ladder that was, if you took this upon yourself? If you did this as well, then you could reach that top, that pinnacle. And we need to be honest with ourselves in this matter. But Martha stood before Jesus and she was tired and she was worked to the bone, and she had decided for herself that this was needed. And then she did what we do. Well, that one is doing nothing. That one needs to come help me because I am now overworked and overtired and I have created this burden, but that person must come help me carry this burden. And we do that. We want to drag other people into the messes that we have created. Jesus does not. Well, before I even say what Jesus does not do, she then directs Jesus. This is how I think you should solve the problem. Or we do that as well. We go to God and we tell him how we think he should solve the problem. We don't leave that burden at his feet. We take it to him, we tell him we have the burden, and then we tell him what he should do about the burden before we pick it up and walk off with it. And thankfully, Jesus gracefully sees through the issue, and he doesn't fall for this. He tells her she needs to straighten out her priorities, and that what Mary has chosen, that will not be taken away from her. She has chosen to sit at Jesus' feet and learn from him. Now, take this back to the passage in Matthew where the same Jesus says, "Your Father knows what you need. Are you not worth much more than the birds?" Martha doesn't know that she's worth more than a bird. She still thinks she needs to do for herself. The question is, are you Martha or are you Mary? Or are you somewhere in between Martha and Mary? Neither this nor that. Yep, somewhere on the fence on this one. I don't know. I'm not quite sure where I need to put myself. I'm going to be honest with you. I wish with everything inside me that I could say, I'm Mary, here I am. And what's funny about this is my name, the closest you can get to a Hebrew name is exactly that, it's Mary. But there's a Martha somewhere in me that doesn't want Mary to just take her rightful place. Anyway, let's continue with the passage. So verse 41, and I'm wondering if I shouldn't do these. Yes. Let me put Martha's words on one piece of paper. I'll get back to the decorations now. I'm going to do Luke 10, verse 41 to 42 on another note, sticky note. Jesus answered her. comma. Quotations. Martha, Martha. And doesn't Martha means bitterness? I'll need to look it up, but some faint bell rings that says the meaning of the word Martha is bitterness. Now that's a very faint bell. I really do need to look it up. That would be interesting in itself, isn't it? Yeah. Anyways, okay. Martha, Martha, you are anxious and troubled about many things. You are anxious and troubled. Oh, those words. About many things. Now, how many of you lie awake at night? Because you're anxious and troubled about many things. And that's a full stop. That's a statement. It's not a question. God knows her. Jesus knows her. But one thing is needed. And this is verse 42. And that's another statement. It's a sentence in its own. And Mary has chosen the good part. And Mary has chosen. It's a choice. You have two choices. The good part and the busy part. And Martha chose one and Mary the other. And Jesus knows the difference. Which shall not be taken from her. Love, love, love that. No man or woman shall take this from you. Which shall not be taken from her. And of course we end the quotations. We close the quotations. I'm a little... Yeah, I think I'm not going to put this lid thing back on the pen. It can rather stay as is. I'm filled in ink now, covered in ink. This last sentence, or the second part of this last sentence, which shall not be taken from her. God will not allow this to be taken from us. We should not allow people to take this from us. There's a choice to be made. Don't make your choice and allow people to shove you off that choice onto the bad choice, and you lose this. I'm tempted to say, dig in your heels in the power of Jesus, and keep on doing the right thing. Now, those are our passages. We are going to decorate them again. I'm going to do something a little... I'm going to use the chisel end of this one. Okay, so pretty much the same thing I did on the other side, but now a much more pronounced line. And let me, while I'm at it, just create a funny little flower. And just a couple of smaller ones surrounding this. And I'm just doing these little tiny flowers and having fun. Just little 4-leaved flowers, really. Well, some of them have more than 4 leaves. Okay, and am I going to pop something in the middle of this? I actually think I need to use the same colors on both. Yes, let me do purplish. Ooh, it's not going to come out purple. Oh, slightly. Okay, and these I'll just fill in with the purple. It's not humongously obvious, but there is a slight variation in these now. I'm going to just do it. And I think this flower, and I've now added the fifth flower, petal, which wasn't there to start with. Okay, so I'm going to stick with the same colors. I stuck this one on the wrong page. Here's my page. Okay. So that one there, and that one there to be, oh goodness, look at this. I've got two going here. Let me take that one off. To be used at another date. Okay. Now, this is obviously not where they're going to stay. Oh dear, I can't actually do that. The writing will distract me way too much. I need to, yeah, that's okay. I need to just have a blank surface here, otherwise that's too distracting for me. I think since these two actually form one passage, okay, stand still. I just need to do the same kind of thing on both. And yeah, let's do the larger flower. Okay. And you'll see I even make the small flowers with a chisel point. I don't bother using the other point, because if you use it on the edge of the chisel point, the fine point there, you can actually get a finer point than with the other side of the marker. These are actually very, very versatile markers. If you just play around a bit with the points and the different edges on the points and whatever, these flowers are turning out very much linear. I don't know why I'm lining them up like soldiers. I need to do something to break that linear line that I've created while talking away. Oh my goodness, come. Now this thing doesn't like, yeah, let me just revive it a bit. I have exhausted that point, and I wonder, you see I lose a bit sight when I use the other side of the chisel point. Okay. My spatial orientation is not too shabby. I managed it. Okay, and we come in with a bit of purple again, just sticking to the same colors, same flowers, same. Not overworking, just doodling, just a little bit of doodles to make this a little bit more interesting than just words on a sticky note. Right, enough. That's it for our passages. Now I'm going to pause now because it's actually quite late at night already. But when I come back, and I will splice these videos together into one video, I'm going to show you how I handle those pictures and what I do with those. But that was me dealing with the passages for tonight. Next we're going to deal with the pictures in the book before we start creating our own artwork on those papers. Right, I'm going to say good night, even though in the video it's going to look like it's just carrying on, but yes, my apologies. It feels really rude to switch off now and not say good night. Hi everyone, I'm back. And I was going to quickly say the power is off where I'm at, so I really hope there's enough light on everything today. But I want to work with the first of the pictures in my book. And this is a double spread picture. Some of them are going to be single, but this happens to be a double spread picture. I've already told you I made a pocket out of this page here, a top pocket. And well, let's see how we deal with this picture now. I am going to switch on the light in the room just very quickly. It will have no effect at the moment But hopefully, even when the power comes on, we will have a little bit more light on the setting. I do have a bit of light coming in, natural light coming into the room, so hopefully that is enough. Now, when you deal with an existing picture like this, one that is not your choice, it is the one that's in the book, and that's the one that you've got to deal with. It is very similar to how life is. Life hands you situations, and you need to learn to deal with them. And this picture, you need to sit and look at it until it starts to speak to you. Now, it took me a while for this picture to start to speak to me. And I think what threw me is literally the fact that this is a male figure. And it was a bit of a mind shift for me to see myself in that male figure. And also the way he's dressed. Obviously, that is not the kind of way that I would dress. But I am, after all, I've decided I am going to associate with this figure. I will see myself in that figure. I will place myself in this setting. And when I place myself in this setting, I can 100% see myself walking on the beach. I have had so many hours of conversations with God just walking on the beach alone. And one of my favorite spots to do that is Wonderklipbaai in Namakwaland. And if you've never been there, you need to go check it out. Now, one of the sister blogs of my of A Pretty Talent is A Pretty Tourist, an offspring of A Pretty Talent. And at one stage in my life, I was really touring a lot, and I got to spend just about 3 months in Wonderklipbaai. And it was 3 of the best months of my life, simply because I got to spend so much time walking and talking with God. So this reminds me of that time in my life. And when I start thinking of this picture along those lines, then this picture becomes my picture. Now, that is what you need to do with your pictures as well. Turn them into something that you can associate with, that you can work with. It doesn't have to be a positive time. It can be a negative time. It's a brilliant time to deal with whatever comes to the foreground. Now, I have decided that I am going to be working with my dies and planning on what to use. I've sort of gathered everything together. I should show you how I organize these. So these are the old DVD boxes. And I've taken my little printer and I've printed labels for them. And this one is about tours and buildings, traveling in buildings and, you know, things that you would encounter. And then I simply put my dies and my stamps, because very often these go together, in these. And when they start overflowing, as they do, I simply start a second one with the same title. Now, what do I do with the actual DVDs? My DVDs right from the start went into a sort of Ziploc containers. Now, I still have those, and I don't know why I have those, and I don't know what I intend to do with them, because the time is pretty much over, isn't it? But in any case, yes, a bit nostalgic, I suppose, or just thinking of how much money I've spent on them, and loath to get rid of them for that reason. I don't know, but at some stage I do know that I will have to. That is not today, and it's not the topic for today. I want to talk about my starting point is in Jesus and the amazing grace He had in saving me. This is one of my new dies that I'm going to use here. Another of my new dies is this compass. And I want to use this compass somewhere over here, because I want to talk about the fact, or think about, contemplate the fact that He's giving me direction, a new direction, a new way of looking at life and traveling through life and whatever it is. And then I also thought of maybe including one of the globes. And maybe I need to swap these out. Maybe put that one there and this one here. I'm uncertain. I can also use one of the smaller globes, I'm quite sure. Or maybe 2 of these smaller globes. After my recent purchases, I now have 2 of these. That is a possibility as well. Now, the idea with the globes is the Great Commission. We've been commissioned to go into the world and preach the gospel. And And that's where I'm going with the globes. So I'll think about these two a little bit. But that's more or less what I want to do with the spread. And you will see that I sort of start planning this beforehand. Now I also had, this is a very sweet stack of suitcases. And at one point I thought I would include these here. Sort of leaving the baggage of the world behind and whatever. And then I thought this was a bit cluttered. So I have discarded the idea of this one. I would have loved to have used this one. Let me show you this. I would have loved to have used this one. And sort of let the figure pop out from behind these. But this one is a negative die. So I would have to be able to cut this page apart and pop out the pieces, and I can't do that. So this one, sadly, I can't use. I think, yeah, let me think about these. I mean, possibly even this one. Still a little uncertain which of these I want to use. Okay, that aside, I do know I want to use those. Now, along with those, let me put this one here. Along with those, I have been gifted this set of lovely stencils, listen to me, stickers, by a friend, a colleague actually, last Christmas, as part of our Christmas gift, Secret Santa thing. And these are some absolutely fantastic stickers to look at and use. Now I like this particular set, especially because this one has words that would speak to this page. I will walk by faith, not by sight. And then also the fact that I walked and prayed so often. I will call on him as long as I live. I prayed to the Lord and he answered me. My hope is in you. There are some fantastic possibilities here. And this one, where God guides, he provides. So I think I'm going to use some of these, at least one of these, on this page. But we will leave that sort of as a last step. Now, in the meantime, I need to move the book out of the way. And I put some protectors behind my pages, just in case. Probably the way I'm going to go with this, I won't need those, but rather safe than sorry. So now this is the die cut machine. And I now need to cut some of these dies out. Oh my goodness, I'm really crowding myself here a bit. Okay, so I'm just going to pull this in. Here are my plates, and you are never supposed to cut on this plate, but I do workshops and I teach people how to die cut, and they don't listen, and they're infernally wise and know they, they follow their own ideas and whatever it is, and then your stuff gets damaged, and it is what it is. But I'm not one to cry over spilled milk. It happened, and we move on. Okay, so now you just pretty much need to figure out what you want to cut this from and how you want to go about this. Now I have got this cardboard here, and I think I should cut these from this. It's a craft paper cardboard. It's a bit of a thicker one, a stronger one. Quite possibly I don't actually need this much. I wonder if I shouldn't just cut all of them from this. Now, what I have here is a magnetic plate, and that makes it so much easier to keep your dies in place. You don't have to tape them down if you've got a magnetic plate. Shall I just cut all of them from this? Yes, let me not think about that for too long. So I can fit those in there. I kind of think, seeing as I have a bit of space on this plate, I'm just going to pop these two small ones in there as well. And I'm going to cut all of them. I'm going to, I stack my sandwich a little different. This is called a sandwich from what they say. In any case, now, is there enough pressure? There is not enough pressure. There's no resistance. I need a little bit more. Let's use a thicker die plate at the top. This might be too thick. Not going in. In that case, I might have to remove the shim and try without the shim. Is there a reason why you're not moving? This is just really too thick. Let's go for the shim in this one. And I think this will do it. Let me just get this started. Sometimes, why on earth is this thing not moving today? Machine? What is your issue? If you're not too thin, you're too thick. And if you're not too thick, you're too thin. And it's just not going. Now, why would it, when I turn the plate the other way around? I don't know. I'm not going to think about it for too long. I'm just going to bring it back again. Okay, that was a bit strange. Nonetheless, it is done. Let me put all of these plates back and out of the way. Okay. So, what has now happened is that these little metal plates, no, there wasn't enough pressure here. I'm just going to run it through again because the pressure is a bit, despite the fact that it wouldn't go in, or shall I just, no, I'm going to cut it again. And I'm just going to run it through again. I'm actually going to add another shim, so just a thin metal plate, just to give it a bit more pressure because it needs, I like that resistance better on the handle. And the more you do this, the more you sort of start realizing when you've got enough resistance. But okay, here we go. Oh, sorry, I've just bumped the camera, something awful. Okay. Now, this, it's still caught there. I'm going to take now this is because I'm using this thick plate. Okay, Amazing Grace cut beautifully, and these are coming out nicely. Okay, so let me bring my scissors in. I am missing my fine point scissors. Now that's a tragedy. There they are. Okay. So these fine point scissors will just do a release there where it didn't cut through quite as expected. Now there we go. How lovely are these little things. And now it is starting to turn a little bit dark. And I dearly hope we can finish this video. Okay. Now it's a pity this one came out like this, because normally I don't do this. The dies work brilliantly. This cardboard is a bit thick, and I knew I was taking a risk when I chose it, but you know, sometimes we take those risks and then we just got to deal with the fallout of the risks. Okay, so there's a bit of a mess, and I'll clean up the mess off screen. I'm not going to clean it up here on the camera. So all of these need to be popped out and cleaned out. I'm just going to pop them back on there, put them out of the way to do later on. If you don't clean them out, they won't cut well the next time you want to cut. So what I can't leave for next time, let me put that out of the way as well, is this one that is stuck in here. Now there are tools, and I have tools here, that will pop these out. So you can just do the brush thing, and that will pop this out to a great extent. Or you can pop it out with that little thing there. Whichever way, it's a rather simple mission. So there's the earth, the globe, and here's a globe, and I don't know which I like best. See how they work on the page. This globe has got a couple of pieces left that should pop out. So that one should come out. Oh, there the sun's back. Now we've got a bit of a bit more light on this day without power. The power's been good for a while, and now suddenly it's gone again. But my computer practicals at school are run. I've got a grade 11s still doing PATs, or practicals rather, next week Friday. The rest of them are done, so then at least it's humongously difficult when you're running computer practicals and the power goes off. And they keep talking about installing a UPS at school for my server, and I haven't done so. And the server takes about 10 minutes roughly to start up. And nobody can continue working until the server is started up. And the more I say this is an issue, you know, I don't know. I think people don't always understand. Anyway, they've got a server, a UPS now, but they've got to come install it. And what with the power not going off, probably it wasn't a high priority, but if the power's now going off again, then it'll be a priority. We've got a fantastic, humongous what do you call that, generator. It's as big as a small caravan, and it powers the whole school. The problem is that switch over. If the server goes off, it's off, and then you lose all that time. And if you're busy with a practical test, the actual computers that the kids and even myself are working on, they start up quickly. It is the server, the startup time of the server, that is the issue. I am weeding this, and it's not weeding badly, all things considered. All things being how thick this cardboard is that I cut this from, it really isn't weeding too badly. But I want to move on and not do this whole video on weeding die cuts. So, okay, I'll pop those out just now. Okay, so that's the idea behind the die cuts, and that's how the die cut machine works for those of you who've never seen it. It is a lovely, lovely, lovely machine to have. And let's put all of that aside. We're going to pull in the book again. And now we're going to decide where exactly, I'm not going to need that, let me put it aside. Where exactly do we want to use these? Now, first off, get north pointing to the top. We want Amazing Grace at the starting point. And you can see that these are not going to be extremely obvious. Yes, I can use this one here. That'll be fine. Oh my goodness, am I going to have too many globes if I put these small ones on there as well? Maybe, but I kind of like it. I kind of like it. Maybe I'm going to do that. I don't know. Maybe I'm being silly now. But essentially, all we're going to do now is to glue these in position. And let's start with Amazing Grace. My glue's a bit empty. Now, I should have a glue with a finer point, and I do. Why I didn't use it, I didn't know. But this will be fine. This will be fine. Okay, then I grab my tweezers. Here they are. I turn Amazing Grace over, and I just glue it in place. Loads of excess glue that I'll just carefully remove. Okay, just make sure all the spots are down on the page. I'm not going to close this page too quickly, because then now I don't have a choice. I'm going to have to pop these out before I glue this down. If I close the page too quickly, then I just realized I never finished the sentence. Then, of course, the pages will stick together because the glue is not dry. I'll wait patiently for it to dry. Fortunately, I don't want to do too much on this. I've literally just arrived home from school. I'm a teacher, if you hadn't gathered that yet. And I've just arrived home, and I decided, let me, before I start with anything else, before I even have lunch, let me come and do one of the pictures in my book so that you can see how I handle them, how I go about dealing with them, what is the thinking behind it. And this is a rather important one, the thinking behind it, because all of us will be having different books that we're working on. We have different books that we're working on. And we all are going to be facing this conundrum of what to do with that picture. Now you can find yourself a book without a picture, but I think that's sad. Pictures, even awful pictures, are good because they'll evoke some emotion, some thought, some thinking process will be kickstarted, and yeah, we're gonna have pictures. Maybe like this, right? Maybe that makes more sense. Yeah? No? Too much? Too much? Such a pity. I wanted to use this one, and especially because it's one of the newer ones, but I will put it aside. It's not the right one. Both. One. One. Only. Yeah. One only. Okay. There will be more projects. I'll use those. They'll not go to waste. Not that much. But yeah, sometimes I want to use everything at once, and it doesn't work that way. Now I'm going to go off the picture here. I'm going to go into the frame. All of these have been glued into the frame, running off the picture. Widening the scope. And I like the idea of widening the scope simply because it's you know, from an evangelical point of view, it's sort of like expanding those borders. Okay, now I don't want to do too much on this page. I love the picture. I don't want to crowd the picture. I don't want the picture to disappear into the background. I like it. So, where he guides, he provides. I love this one for so many reasons. Let me put it in front of the figure. I love it because our passage preceding this, said, look at the birds of the air, for they do not sow, nor do they reap, nor gather into barns, yet your heavenly Father feeds them. Are you not better than they? Where he guides, he provides. That says it all, isn't it? But I think I also want to use this one. I'm not sure where I will be able to use it. Layout might make this slightly difficult. And if it's difficult, we'll find a way. I want it here. I don't want it at the top, even though it's a banner. I think I'm just going to bend it into the fold of the book and stick it down here, regardless of the fact that it's running over 2 pages. I will walk by faith, not by sight. I think I'm not going to do a single thing more on this page. Now, as far as the composition go, I'm not going to say this is the most brilliant composition. There's waves running this way. There's an opening in the page here where the waves are running this way. And the eye is led onto the figure. And all of these components here keep this movement going. So nothing's running out of the page. You keep coming back. We've created a direction for the eye to follow on the page, making the figure the focal point with points of interest surrounding him. Which is not difficult to do because the artist had achieved that already. We just sort of worked with it. That is how you can handle one of these pages. It's one of a gazillion, let's stick with that word of mine, a gazillion ways to deal with a full spread picture like this. Not the only way. There are many more ways, and we're going to be exploring those in any case. But there's an idea for you. There's a kickstart, and just so you can get started on this. I have mislaid, oh there it is, my little clicker. This is my little clicker that switches the videos on and off, so I don't have to reach up to the video, to the camera. Anyways, I will show you a little bit more, but for now I'm going to stop the video. You'll probably not even see it because I'm going to splice them together. Okay, so I am back, and I want to do the oil pastel painting with you today. But this painting deals with the verse in Matthew 6 verse 26. And I know we've read it, but let's just remind ourselves. Look at the birds of the air, for they do not sow, nor do they reap, nor gather into barns. Yet your heavenly Father feeds them. And are you not much better than they? Now, in this course, we are doing a bit of soul searching. And one of the notes that we have included in this course, well, I've given you the link to the internet site, is how the body remembers trauma. There's so many things that happens to us that we experience traumatically, And some traumas are worse than others, and some are not so bad. But so for some of these, we need some outside help, some assistance to deal with it. And some we deal with ourselves. But in that process of dealing with our traumas ourselves, and this often just simply means we ignore it. We ignore the trauma. We suppress it. And it settles in our bodies in the form of dissociation, being unable to be our true selves, zoning out, disconnecting, muscle tension, where the muscles of the body stiffen and we're unable to relax. You find yourself lying in bed and all of your muscles are tight. Digestive issues, difficulty processing our foods, cramps, sweating. I'm going to leave that one there. Body size, fluctuations in weight, flashbacks and headaches, remembering the memories we have and reliving those traumas, the chronic pain, a pain that settles somewhere in our body and it becomes a chronic pain, nausea and cravings, nausea at the sight of food or thought of food, and also craving certain foods and normally not the healthy ones. Our immune system becomes broken down, deregulated, and then also skin problems with all sorts of things occurring there. Now, we need to deal with our trauma and we need to face the things that have happened to us, because if we don't, it can lead to physical illness. And at this point in history, it is for me, it's a bit of a sore topic at this moment, because just this week, 2 of my colleagues had been booked off sick for about 3 days each. And the workload on all of us is so tremendous that every time you speak to a colleague, a fellow teacher, they're telling you we don't know how to cope. We do not know how to cope with the workload. These are teachers that are seasoned, that's been teaching for years. I'm not talking about solely the younger teachers. And they don't know how to cope. The marking, the external pressures, the extramurals, and all those things that are added onto this, people are faltering and they're failing, and their bodies are failing them. Now, I'm quite sure this is not only true of the teaching job of education. I believe people all over are experiencing these stresses and traumas. And then we come to this verse that makes it seem overly easy, too easy. Just give it to God? Surely not. Just relinquish your worries? Surely not. We have deadlines and immediately want to object and say it's not that simple. It really just isn't that simple. And I know where you're coming from. And I fall into this trap myself over and over and over again. And yet I have a testimony to share with you, which speaks of a God who doesn't fail. And if you take him at his word, then he will do exactly this. He will take care of you better than he takes care of the birds of the air. So, okay, having said that, we are going to take this scriptural reference, this verse, and we are going, my apologies, oh, there's a frog in my throat. We are going to take that as an inspiration to create our first oil pastel painting. Now, I have printed for the members in the group some references. Some of them, I look at them now and I wonder, why did I print those? I don't know. Maybe it was just one of those days where I was like, okay, whatever. You're not restricted to those in any case. If you want to go online onto a site like Pinterest, or you want to use Bing or Google search engines or whichever it is, and find yourself some other references to work with, there's nothing binding you to these. So we are going to open this page, and I'm taking the book away. That's why we haven't stuck this down yet, because we want to be able to work on a flat surface and then stick it into the book and put it in its proper place. Now, these offcuts, this was a large A2 size piece of pastel paper that I cut into smaller bits, and so I had these little offcuts left over. And these are literally so that you can come and try out your oil pastels. Now, I have been playing with my oil pastels, and I've made videos on those, and I'll link those in the comments. But the idea is to not develop a full painting like this, but rather the stuff that I've been doing on the back of these. Just try your hand at getting to know the medium before you finally commit to paper. Now, having done that already, I am going to, my apologies for the buzz in the background. I have the fan on. It is swelteringly hot. Here we I am. And I tried switching it off, but it's killing me. The heat is too much. So I have decided to draw a little picture to start with. And this picture is going to be inspired by one of these birds, and I wonder which one I want to use. I think I shall do that one. So this bird is a bit of a curious one, isn't it? But okay, I'm looking at this one. That's the bird I want to go with. And it doesn't have to look exactly like that, but okay, it has some sort of eye like this. It's got the beak coming a bit rounded like that. It's got a bit of a cocky fringe going at the top. Some more feathers down here. And then it has I'm just developing that a little bit more. Now it has a body coming out like this. And I can see that I started this a little bit too close. That's okay. We'll deal with it. Body coming out like this, and again over here somewhere. And this tail feather that's going down. Now here we have some shape like this that forms the shapes the oh dear birdie. Yeah, okay, and we have the feet coming from about here. And something like that. Not the best looking bird. Well, not yet. We will keep on developing it. Now what I did not bring to the table is an eraser. And I don't often use one, but not the worst idea to have one at hand. Okay, so something to that effect. I'm not getting too concerned about this, because this is just an initial sketch. So I am now going to give it a bit of a stump to sit on, and I'm just sort of looking at what they've got going there. Something like this. He does look curiously perched on this stump, and I think his body needs to come out here, but it doesn't actually, but okay. And I'll work with that. Now, over here, I want all sorts of flowers. And I don't want to think too much about these flowers. I want to just create these, and they're going to be more in the backdrop than in the foreground. So I'm not overthinking these flowers at all. We need one down here still. Okay. Maybe another one. It's more open. Okay. And they're going to have little stems and things to rest on. And that's good enough. We're not going to develop the drawing any further. Now, what are we working with? Let's have a quick look. I'm going to put that on the side just for a sec. We are working with, wants to blow away in the wind. We're working with oil pastels, and I have brought mine closer so I can work with them. But we're also working with soft oil pastels, and I'm going to allow myself, I think, to play with all three sets. Maybe I'll restrict myself to only the one that this one that I'm including in the package for the workshops. I'll see how I feel about that. I'm on two minds because I want to work with all my stuff, but at the same time I want to be true to what I've given everyone else to work with. Now I want to start on these flowers, and these flowers I want to make a vibrant red. Now, I had a friend and she's passed away since. A lovely person. It was such a privilege to have known her. But she was a counsellor with a brilliant practice, helped so many people. I'm going to leave these that I've used. This is Crimson from Reeves. And the methodology she followed was narrative therapy. Millet, she won't mind me mentioning her name. Or she wouldn't have minded, I suppose. This is Stedtler, and I don't know that it has a name. Not that I can see. It's black. Yes, there it is. Black. Just black. And number 241. Now, Millet's methodology, as I said. Now, I'm coming in with a bright pink here. And this I'm putting on the light areas, right? So where the light would hit the flowers. Narrative therapy. Narrative therapy, it requires of you to find your words, to put into words your thoughts, your emotions, your feelings, your experiences, so that you are able to tell your story. And oh dear, well, that's not the worst. To be able to find your words, this was sap green from Reeves, and this is Pink Rose from Reeves. To be able to find your words, to say what it is that you truly think, what it is that you truly feel. It's a skill. It's a skill. This is Magenta, also Reeves. I tend to be taking the Reeves tonight. And this one is a more of a purplish color, or magenta, right? And I'm putting it here at the bottom of the flowers. That will be my shade, if you like. I'm wondering if I don't want to add another flower too. No, I'll leave it at that. Okay. We don't do that thing of converting our thoughts, our emotions into words. Now I'm coming in with rubbing alcohol and these terrible earbuds that I have, but I want to use them up. I'm just going to dispense this in the lid. It's going to make it slightly easier to work with. And I am going to blend these a bit to soften them. So that idea of finding your words, putting into words what's happened to you, to tell your story. It's allowing yourself the opportunity to come to terms, to find the terminology, to come to terms with your story, with the events, with your emotions, your reaction to it. And the legal terminology, coming to terms. Finding the terms of the contract between your old self and your new self on how to continue. What you will allow and what you won't allow. If this had left you altered, how are you going to proceed on from this point? Yeah, there's a piece that needs to go off. Okay. And realizing that you're in control of that decision at the very least, where you decide how to proceed from this point on. That's key. It's brilliant. It's marvelous. It's empowering. And so if we allow ourselves to sit down and take a pen in hand and start writing words, just words that come into our mind when we think about our trauma, and then start building sentences with those words. I'm going to put this back in there for the moment because alcohol tends to evaporate rather quickly. I want to leave that closed until I'm ready to go back to it. Now, that's a very empowering action, that coming to terms. Mighty empowering. Now I have raw umber here. And raw umber has a bit of a greenish tint, I suppose. I, again, did not give myself a surface to work on. I am not going to bother too much. I'm going to take this paper and I'm just going to work on this because just to try and clean my table, or keep my table slightly cleaner than it's been. Now this raw umber, as I said, has a bit of a greenish tint to it. It's not green. And then I'm going to come in. Why do I keep picking the Reeves? I don't know. This is burnt umber. Burnt umber is much darker. And we're going to do some lines here. Give me a dark spot. Okay. And this time I'm not going to blend with the alcohol. I am going to soften it slightly with my finger. And the idea is also to just show you how you can create different effects with different pastels and different techniques with the pastels. I think I need to do leaves, and what I'm doing is I'm using this broken pastel now on its side, and I'm really just drawing kind of a line with it, really sort of a bendy line. It's not a leaf shape. But it'll work. It will work. So, my awkward looking bird is still sitting perched there, and I'll get to him. I'm leaving him for last because I'm going to enjoy doing it. So, I am going to leave it at that or not. I am thinking I should do a shadow on the stems and the leaves, because they're a bit monotone, and I don't like that. And you will notice that I have picked up, this is ultramarine blue. It's an unexpected color. It'll work. You'll see. It'll work. It's not going to be so obvious and pronounced. Okay, so now that I've got that, I want to come in with, this is vermilion, and I want to do suggestions of flowers. Suggestions. They're not there. I'm not drawing them, but I am suggesting them, so that I have some more developed flowers. These are not brilliantly developed flowers, and I have background flowers which are suggested. They're not there. We're not really drawing them. And then I'm going to come in with not gold. I just picked up the gold, and that's definitely not the color I'm going for. Shall I go with this? No, I know what I want to do. I want to get another earbud. And I am going to maybe not an earbud. Let's put down the earbud. I want to do this. I'm first doing all the oranges. It was vermilion, not orange. And then I'm doing medium yellow, and I'm picking another finger, and it picks up the green. Well, so be it. Picks up the red, so be it. It's going to pick up as well. Okay, now. More. Okay. Now that thing where it's picked up other colors, I kind of like that. So I am now just picking up this little green piece. Green piece. Sounds like an ecological thing. Okay. And I'm dirtying my fingers, and I'm creating art, and I love getting my fingers in there. And I know everyone doesn't. It's not everyone's thing. And if you can find another way to do this that's more acceptable to you, then by all means go for it. Now I'm coming in with a burnt umber. I'm adding a bit of burnt umber to some of the yellows. Not that's okay. That's good enough. It's maybe, yeah, it's okay. You can always do a bit more orange if it's really, really awful. I don't think it's awful. Okay, so now that I've got that going, I'm still ignoring bird. I think, and I wonder, and I'm on two minds, and I don't know if I should, and I'm wondering if I should do the water-soluble oil pastels, but the idea was really not to use them in this, for this particular lesson. So let me stick with my original idea. I'll do that in another lesson. There's a reason why, and yes, I'm frustrated because I would have loved to have used those now, but okay, I won't. I'll be good about it. I won't use it simply because I have it and I can, and I'll be good about it. Okay, now I am filling in blanks. Now blanks are not blanks because we've used a really lovely bright color on the background, or for the background paper. So blank is really not blank. We are filling in the gaps, and the color I'm using here is almond green. I don't know anything about the colors of almonds, but I'm finding that there does not seem to be too much consistency in what colors almonds are. Now I know you can roast them, so perhaps they change colors, and that then accounts for the inconsistencies in the colors. I don't know. Certainly they like to use the name almond green. Maybe because it's such a nice word to say. Have you ever said it? Take the word almond in your mouth. Say it. And it's a round word, it's a soft word, it's a... I like the sounds of words. It's a word that I like to say. It's it sort of coincides with this whole idea of narrative therapy, isn't it? Taking words in our mouths and saying them. This looks like a bit of a mess to me. Light green. Is this what I want to do? Let's just break it. Now I'm just going to come in with splotches of light green and say, hello world, how are you? Take notice, I'm here. This color wants to be acknowledged. And shall I go olive green? Where's the sap green? I think to similar dark green. And now you'll see I'm doing these sort of ovals. Oh, why? Why am I doing it? Because I feel like it. I wish there was a better reason. Let me try to find the words. Those patches of light and dark that the sun would create when it plays through foliage. these sort of half circles, semicircles, it reminds me of that. Oh, see what I did there without giving it too much thought? I need to clean my hand. I don't have anything here, just a tissue. That thing that I've just done now, where I said to myself, don't just say you're making these half circles, try to put it into words. That is exactly what narrative therapy is. It's saying, okay, so you're doing this kind of by instinct, but why? Why is it that you're doing it? I am blending. And I'm blending with the rubbing alcohol, and it should soften it a bit and make it a bit more cohesive. And yeah, it'll work. This is the thing, it'll work. But yes, so I write poetry. Well, I write, full stop. I write everything. That's why I blog as well. In the videos is new to me. I'm more of a writer than a talker. I think that's why you have these silences in the video, because I'm trying to teach myself to talk. I tend to think, and I'll put my thoughts on paper, but I'm not fond of talking. I'm not a big talker. Now, this idea of writing poetry, I guess it was born from a need to make myself heard. No, I didn't just jump up, write poetry and go publish it, make it known. And in my age, look, if back in the day social media had existed, I guess I would have, but it didn't, so I didn't. I might not have, I don't know. It's hard to remember the younger me and exactly how much of an introvert and how much of an extrovert I was back in the day. I tend to fluctuate on that. Apparently there's something called an omnivert, which is a bit of both. And I have a friend, she's also a therapist, and to think of it. So shout out to Alani. And she's diagnosed me as being an omnivert. I don't know. I'm not much of a labeler. I think labels tend to keep us back, hold us back, so that we can't get on with things. Because we believe we have to live up to the expectations of the label. It's starting to come together. I need to use the other side of this earbud, which is slowly disappearing into oblivion. But back to the idea of writing poetry. I'm not saying you've got to go out and write poetry. I'm not even saying you should be a poet. I'm saying find an outlet, some way, some means to start writing down your thoughts, coming to terms with your stresses, your traumas, your worries, your anxieties. And the other thing I tend to do, I've never been a Dear Diary kind of person. Um, I'm a dear God kind of person. So when I sit down and write down my thoughts on the day, whatever it is, I don't say dear diary, I say dear Father, sweet Jesus. I write down praise. Or I speak my praise. Or whichever suits the needs of the day. Because not all days are equal. In terms of the time, I know they all have 24 hours, but not all 24 hours have the same expectations put on them. I like this. I think when I started out, I wanted these blotches to blend more into the background, and maybe I should. I don't know. Should I go more blendy? I don't think I should. Maybe I should rather do something else. Maybe instead of going all blendy with them, I should much rather come in with a color like this and a shape like this, and just develop them further. And that I like better. Now that's me changing my painting. Smack in the middle of the painting. Still no bird. We'll get there. And so I have simply oil pastels, and they are simply oil pastels. There's no color name on this one. It's red. Now, the yellowish ones, shall we go with which is this one, the Delhi oil pastel, color run. Nope, no name. It's orange. There. I'm being mean. There. It's got a name now. Yeah. Okay. You like that? I like that. I want to come in with my sap green and just absolutely the shortest little lines with an illusion of stems and not actually doing that. Okay, that's my backdrop. What am I going to do with my bird? Let's think about the bird. I'm working on the paper that I'm using as a reference. Really? How wise was that? Okay, so I've got blues. So let's bring the same blue in here. I've got blues. And it's over there. I've got black-ish. Somewhere over here. Back there. I've got black here. I have an orangey color going here, an even on the inside. Okay. I have a very palish, bluish color. What is the color here? I do not know. Well, whatever. It's a grayish, bluish, grayish color. I'm going to go with that over here. Now, it's not going to stay these colors, so no need. This is just a ground color that I'm doing. Yeah, here as well. Okay. And then a brighter blue. A brighter blue. Yeah, this one will do. Something like that over here. Now, there's more to the bird than that, but it's got a bit of black down here, and it's a bit of black or something down here, and then there's the feet, and we'll deal with that. Okay, now, here is the thing we want to get to with the birds. We want to use these soft oil pastels. I did not get myself something to work on. I come here thinking I'm so prepared, and then find I'm not. Okay, well, there isn't anything to work on, so I'm going to work on the lid of one of these. Since I have this at hand, I didn't bother to clean this one too much last time, because I probably wouldn't mind bringing those colors into anything. So here are the colors I have, and they're not bad, actually. If I want to do that bird, build up that bird, there is more than enough to play with. Let me start with this one and my art tools. I keep putting them back in this little pocket. And it's a silly little pocket. They need a better packaging. Right, so this one is brilliant for just taking it off. Is that enough? I'm going to just put enough down there. Oh my goodness, come. Slide off. Let me show you what I'm doing. I am breaking pieces off. And now I'm going to soften them. And I'm going to use the same kind side to soften this. And I'm turning this into a putty. Literally turning this into a putty. And then I'm going to come with this side. I'm just looking at the other options here. Yeah, okay. Let's use that, but let's use this to take it off. Just scrape it off there, okay. And then I want to use, let me use this side. And I am going to put down color on this bird. And this is why I wasn't too worried about the bird, because I knew we would get to it. And once we got to it, we were going to have so much fun with it. So anyways, yes, I'm just putting down a little bit of color on the bird. Okay, leave that be. To wipe or not to wipe, that is the question. Let's wipe. Now the reason it's a question is because sometimes we're overly separatist with the colors that we use, and it's not necessary. Okay, this one, yeah, okay, give myself enough to work with. Do these have names? The first one was Blue Haze, and the second one is Blue Night. Blue Haze and Blue Night, and I am looking for this rounded one. Might as well use it to blend with. Can you still see what I'm doing? Am I still in the camera? Or am I working off camera? I I hate it when I look back at the videos and I see that half the stuff was off camera. I'm so still trying to find my feet with this. I thank you for your patience. I'm frustrated with my own inabilities. I need feedback so I can see what you see, and I don't have that set up. I just don't. Now I think this one will still work. Yo, it's similar. Take it off, take it off, take it off. Too similar. I would prefer to bring in this one. This is, now where's your color? The shell. I can't actually make that out. This SH, I don't know, something green. The something green. How specific do you want to have it? There's no green in this reference bird, that's okay. No rule says I've got to stick with that, with those colors. I'm certainly not doing a biology book recreation when I'm trying to teach people what this bird looked like. Honestly, this bird never existed in nature. Will never exist in nature. It's pretty much a figment of my imagination. A little bit of inspiration from that other bird, but this is not that bird. And that's okay. Not great. Right, I need this shape. Right. Okay, that's good. And now I'm going to come in with this blue, which is, do you even have a name? Blue Star. I think that's Blue Star. These names are hardly legible. They are very faintly printed. But that will do it for us. Okay, I'm still pretty much doing the same thing. Let me just get that off there, and obviously onto my finger now. Okay. Yeah. Okay, it will blend in any case. So I'm just coming in here, doing something like that. Why are you rolling along and not staying there? What's with you? Okay. Now this in pastel, that's what you call this. This is a lovely technique. A lovely, lovely, lovely technique. I am going to put a little bit on here, even though this is drier than the others were, but that's okay. So now that I've got that going, and you'll see there's a lot of imperfections on there. I still need to do the beak, but I'll get back to the beak. Now I want to come in with this thin side, and I want to sort of start working this. I'm going to need to turn this. And you see pastels rolling all over when I turn it, but okay. And I want to sort of start creating that illusion of feathers. And I want more here, and this, I'm still going to use my finger now, because this color doesn't want to lie there when I use these sticks. I am now forcing it. Okay, now let's pull that one in. This is why I was not worried about my bird at all, because I was going to come in. I like doing this with my fingers better. I always like things. Yeah, my fingers. They are my art tools. I love using my fingers. And now here. Okay, so now I want to use, I think this side, which is a bit of a comish side, right? And I want to kind of sgraffito into this. And there you go. Let's get rid of those excess. That is cute. Now, it needs black. There's no black. So, I'll go back to this one. And now I'm going to make this eye much more pronounced. It needs orange, and there is orange. And I'm going to do that. Yes. Back to the black. And oh dear, I've come away with a piece of tissue there. Now let's add some shade, because shade really makes a difference. And even over here. So a bit of a pity that this does not have black in it, my opinion. Okay, but we have black, and we're adding it as is. And I think I should not overwork this bird, but rather call it a day. I'm kind of tempted to come in to the browns with a bit more of this, and there goes the temptation. I wanted to do it and I'm doing it. Yeah, it's a bit nicer, isn't it? Yeah. Okay, we like that. But oh. Let me do bring back a bit of definition there. Okay, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. I am not an oil pastel artist, and it shows. But I had fun. I had real fun, and that's the most important thing. So we where do I put my name? Let's put it here. There. Now, where do you go with this from this point on? I would let it air dry because this will become harder when you let it lie. This, you can see I can now press on this and it's not going to change its shape. So if you let this air dry, it will become harder, it will keep its shape, and then once that's the case, stick it in your book and you should be alright. And that's, oops, blowing away. Those are our oil pastels. I hope you enjoyed that.